Hi everybody, I'm back, and today we're going to talk about watercolor palettes. And by palettes, I mean the paints, or the thing that holds the paints, and you can travel around with it, or you can just have it in your studio. And that's where the paints live, and your mixing area. So that's what we're talking about today, and it's just 10 questions in 10 minutes. This time I'm going to really try to make it to 10 minutes. Okay, so let's start with, there's 3 general categories of palettes, and that would be plastic palettes, metal palettes, or ceramic or porcelain, that type of palette. So we'll start with plastic palettes. Okay, so question 1, what are the advantages of using a plastic palette for watercolor? One advantage is that they're lightweight. They're great to travel with. In fact, a plastic palette, the only palette that I've seen that is waterproof or can be made to be watertight is a plastic palette. I have not seen a metal palette do that or ceramic palette do that. But plastic palettes, there's a couple models that are watertight, and I'm betting it's mainly for gouache, but there's some watercolor paints where that would be useful for. Because some watercolor paints tend to move regardless of the weather or where you live. So having a watertight palette that's in your bag is not a bad idea. And only a plastic palette I've seen be able to do that. So lightweight, easy to travel, many different models, and can be watertight. That's about the 3 coolest things about plastic palettes. Okay, number 2. Do plastic palettes stain over time, affecting future color mixing? Yes. Well, if that matters, if that's a big deal. But usually when you're traveling around and you're doing plein air, it's not super big deal. So it's not technically a big deal if you're using it for things that you're not as worried about matching the color exactly. I can just show you a quick example. I'm trying to keep this at 10 minutes. Let me switch this. See how that's stained, So you're gonna get that with plastic palettes, but it's not just plastic palettes that do that. I'll show you this palette. This is a metal palette, and they stain also. So it's not just plastic. And the staining's not too bad. So it's not, it's not too big a deal, but I prefer ceramic palettes. Okay. Oh, I should probably introduce myself. My name is Zara. Welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. This is Watercolor Wizardry. We talk about watercolor, and I try to explain it to beginners. Just everything I've learned, I'm trying to share and give. So that's what we're doing here. So welcome. And if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming back and watching. It's been really fun, and I'm getting better at being on camera. Cool. Okay, so thank you to you guys. Let's see. Next, metal palettes. Yes, I just showed you a metal palette. Okay, so what makes metal palettes unique compared to other materials? Oh, the coolest part about them, I'll bring this one back. I'll show you. Well, obviously, metal palettes, one cool thing about them is that they're magnetic. So, you can stick a half pan on there, right? And you can pick and choose which colors you want to use, set them aside over here. You can even take this out. Well, I'm not going to show you. I'll have another video where I really dive into things, but you can take this whole thing out, and then now you'll have this mixing area and the mixing area here once you take this middle out, and this as a mixing area also. But we can talk more about that in the other video where I'll give myself a little bit more time to do a little bit more of a deep dive. So that's what makes it unique. Metal, magnetic. Let's see, what are there potential downsides or challenges associated with metal palettes? The staining is the only thing I can really think of. That's the only thing I don't like about plastic or metal palettes, is that they stain. And it's really not that big a deal. But that's the only downside, I think. Okay, number 6. Can metal palettes rust? And how can I prevent or address it? Okay, I've never had a metal palette rust on me. So I think maybe they've considered that, being that they're generally designed for water medium type paints. Like some people probably use them for gouache. Maybe not acrylic, but the palettes, the metal palettes that I just showed you, let me switch here. The metal palettes that I just showed you generally sell to watercolor artists. So I think the makers have that in mind, and they don't, obviously they want to sell a lot and they don't want bad reviews. So I've not had any problems with metal palettes rusting. Now, if you make your own metal palette, that's a different story, because like, you can do an Altoid type of, oh my gosh, I'm going on a tangent again, but so you could do an Altoid palette, right? And obviously Altoid's not like saying, hey, use our palette for watercolor. And it's probably going to rust, right? So that's the downside. Let's see. Oh, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to like the video. God, that's repetitive. All right. Now we come to my favorite type of palette, which is a ceramic or porcelain type of palette. I will show you my favorite. Well, I mean, it's my favorite. So this is a dinner plate. It's my favorite kind of palette. I generally have it like this, where the yellow is up here and this is on my cool side and my warm side, but you set it up however you want. I like it like this because I can easily adjust the color, right? If I want it more blue, and then if I want to neutralize it, you just go across, basically, and you kind of feel it out. Yeah, you don't need to know like exactly the color to adjust the hue, tone, on all that. You don't have to be all scientific about it. You can feel it out. And then when you have a big area like this, basically all I do is, what kind of color do I need? Oh, kind of orangey. And so I just go right here, I pick it up, put it on. It makes it very easy. So I love this kind of palette. So that's a ceramic porcelain palette. Let's see, can you explain the impact of a ceramic palette on color mixing and blending? Okay, let me show you really quickly what happens and why the color mixing part is not a big deal, but kind of. All right, so see how it's behaving on this? The water lays flat, right? I hope I don't have to lift that into, you can see it's flat, right? I'll show you the difference here. So I'll pick up some color and I'll put it on here and see how the color separates. And then now you have the color underneath that's kind of interfering with the color you're trying to match. And that only matters when you're really trying to match that color. So it's not a big deal when you're using it for travel or plein air. You're out and about and you're doing a quick sketch. It's not really that big a deal. This is my favorite travel palette, by the way, because it's a transformer. Look at that. Look. That is super cool. This is a water bottle here. Okay, wait. No, I will show you in the other video. I need to keep this 10 minutes. All right, question 8. How do you clean and maintain a ceramic porcelain palette? You clean and maintain with water. You spray it. Well, I mean, you don't actually want to clean it really, because watercolor is reactive to water, so it doesn't dry on the palette like acrylic you wouldn't be able to use it once it dries, right? Well, there's other uses you could do, but that's a different channel. So with a ceramic palette or any palette, you let the watercolor dry and you can actually reactivate it with water. So, you know, like this is all dried, right? And you just go like this and you got green paint right there, ready to go forever. Well, you know. So that's, you don't really clean. I mean, if you want to, and all you have to do to clean it, and I'm not going to clean this whole thing because I'm kind of using it still. So I did just a little spritz, right? If you need a little painting area, you just take your thing, you wipe an area, and look how beautiful that is. That is back to white. That is freaking awesome. Yeah. And you know, you can get a dinner plate at a thrift store, or you probably have it in the cupboard, you know. All right. How do you clean? Okay. Number 9. Are there brands or types of ceramic palettes that you find particularly suitable for beginners? Yeah, actually. Well, I mean, it really, okay. Well, it's up to you. So this is my travel ceramic palette. And right now it's on sale for like $13, but generally it's like $15. I haven't used it yet because this was my ceramic palette for travel. And this is the Jack Richardson's one, which is like $30. So it's a little bit higher. And I love it because, you know, it has a lid for one, and it's ceramic. So the paint lays flat and I can get exact colors that I want. The only problem is that depending on the paints you're using, it might not stay in these little things, whether they're too dry where, you know, they pop out, or they're too wet and they just kind of, you know, if you had this sitting in your bag like this, it might just melt down if it's a kind of paint that doesn't set very well. We could talk about paints later, but if you have any questions, ask them below. And if I'll show you what I mean when I'm talking about paints that don't settle. Oh, I don't mean to put M. Graham on blast here, but do you see that green? It just leaked out of there. And I probably had this, you know, like this in a box when we moved, but that's what happened. And now it's across my other paints. So I don't know. I don't know. That's something, you know, that happens. So that was question 9. Let's see. Number 10, what factors should beginners consider when choosing between plastic, metal, and ceramic plates? Well, okay, this is such a personal thing. It's such a personal choice. Like me, I'm willing to travel with a ceramic palette because that's my favorite. And I will go, I will buy, you know, the type of travel palette that I want. Right? This is one of the new ones that I bought for travel. But the other one works just fine too. So that's really a personal question. So, oh man, 14 minutes. All right, well, I was really close. If you listen to the whole thing, consider subscribing to the channel. That would be awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope to see you next time. I will do a better deep dive on the different palettes that I have. I'm worried that it's going to be a long video, but you know, hopefully you enjoy it. And we might do it as a live stream, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If I do it, I'm just going to be live, so you better subscribe. Because I'm just going to be like, it's go time. Because otherwise, I'm just not going to do it because I'm scared. Okay, so we probably will do that tomorrow, maybe. And by tomorrow, you won't know because I don't know when I'm uploading this video. So, all right, make sure to subscribe. Thanks. Bye, guys.